done pretty much every day this week because the Bears went to training camp this week.
Yeah, when the Bears are back, they take precedence because this is not just a football town, but a football country. We're in love with our football.
Yeah, we really are. And so we are pleased to start the show on this beautiful Thursday afternoon with the head coach of your Chicago Bears, Matt Eberflus, joins Carmen and Yurko now on ESPN 1000 and the ESPN Chicago app. Coach, thank you for joining us. How are you?
I am doing well. Thanks for having me on today.
Couple practices in the books. By the way, nice touch yesterday. You guys having the Highland Park football team out of there. Saw a lot of that on social media. How'd that all come together to get the football team out to watch you guys practice?
Yeah, that was great. We had a community day, and we decided to invite the Highland Park football team in, and it was a special moment. You know, we had those guys with our staff and with the players, and it was really cool to get those guys together and take a picture. And really, more importantly than that was to get them to meet the players and get a chance to visit and talk for a few minutes, with everything that's gone on, in recent here. So it was really, really cool.
Nice touch.
Coach, now that you've had a few months to kind of figure out what's going on and it's your first training camp, there's that age-old adage, you don't know what you don't know. So I'm curious, now that you're setting your training camp and you're establishing things, is there something that you can share with us that you didn't quite realize was perhaps a football head coach's duties until you're actually doing it?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of talk to the guys that you've been around, and some of your guys that are head coaches that are friends, and they tell you certain things about the public relations side of it. That's always a big part of it, and really just the organization side of it. That's a big part of the job. With setting schedules and setting everything in advance, so everybody can be organized to really get a good product on the field. So really, just those two things, and then. Besides that, really just trying to learn the players, learn them as men, learn their skill set, what they do for the Chicago Bears, and then just trying to build our football team. But I would say those two things.
Can you provide us an update on Lucas Patrick? We know that he had to be helped off the field today during practice. How is your center?
Yeah, so we'll assess that as we get going here. They're doing everything right now with the testing and all that. So we'll see where he is. Again, I don't have the full answers on that. That just happened today. So I saw that he left with a couple periods into it. So we'll see where he is.
How about Tevin Jenkins too, Coach? Was he not practicing for a specific reason today?
Yeah, he woke up with something. So we'll see where it is and see where he is, from yesterday. And it was, nothing too alarming, but we'll see where he is too. I got to get the medical report right here after the call. So we'll see.
Matt Eberflus, the head coach of the Bears, joining Carmen and Yurko on ESPN 1000. Are you confident that when you start the season, Roquan Smith will have the green dot on the back of his helmet playing middle linebacker for you guys?
Well, I'm confident in this, that he's a pro and he's going to get himself prepared and ready to go. And when those details get worked out, they will get worked out. I can't put a time frame on that. I don't know the answer to that. That's looking into a crystal ball. But I do know this. He's a pro football player. He's a Chicago Bear, and he's a darn good football player. So we're excited to have him on our football team, and that's where we are.
Bears head coach Matt Eberflus joining us right now on Carmen and Yurko. Jeff Meller in for Yurko. All right, Coach, I'm going to correct or at least follow up on Carmen's question there, because he said what we're used to saying in Chicago, Bears middle linebacker Roquan Smith. And I know that you coached a very talented playmaker in Indianapolis, Shaquille, a.k.a. Darius Leonard. And some folks are curious as to whether or not Roquan might actually be a better fit at that will spot. I'm curious.
I'm curious too, actually.
I'm curious. Can you provide some clarity?
Is he a
for
will?
us?
Well, I will say this, in this similar defense that we run, you got Derek Brooks of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You have, we just talked about Leonard at Indianapolis. We had a lot of good ones, throughout the course of history. I had Sean Lee when I was in Dallas. So we've had some good ones there. Lance Briggs was the will linebacker here. And, it's a really good spot to be in. It's a playmaking spot. And so was the Mike. And you guys saw that in Urlacher. Those two linebackers in our defensive scheme really make a lot of plays, and they really do a lot of production, for our football team.
When did Roquan get hurt, Coach?
I don't know. I think I really don't know. I can't answer that. I didn't ask him exactly when it was. It's just he's on PUP. And there's nothing we can really do right now until he comes off of that. And that'll be up to him and the training staff.
And are you at least relieved that, regardless of what we know there are things going on. This is part of football. It's part of the business. It's part of the stuff that you guys have to deal with. Are you happy that he's at least there with you guys in the rooms, learning the defenses, like doing all the things he can do, even if he doesn't practice this training camp?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. He's here engaged, being a pro, helping the young guys. And really, this is an opportunity. I think I said it in the press conference either yesterday or the day before, that it's really an opportunity for the backups to get, quality reps. Because we all know in the NFL season, guys go down for a game or two at whatever position it is. Man, we got to make sure we're prepared with the guys that are backing them up, and they got to step in and fill in there and do a great job. So we're getting that training right now.
We're all hopeful that the Bears as a franchise finally found their quarterback of the future. As you've evaluated Justin Fields, when you watch him, what does he do exceptionally well that you like?
Yeah, so, the one thing that just jumps off when you ask that question is, man, he can throw a mean deep ball. That guy can throw, and he had a couple today, some big chunk plays down the field. If it's a big box fade, or if it's a vertical route going right down the middle of the field, or a comeback, he can really throw those things, and we're going to use that. He's talented that way. That's an innate ability for him, and we're going to use that skill set.
How much do you think he'll play in the preseason?
We're going to play all of our guys, and we're going to play. We haven't decided the exact number. We're going to go by quarters, go by number. We haven't decided that yet. We're talking that through right now. But yes, we're going to play our guys.
Well, that's good to know, because some coaches choose to do it differently. They don't want guys to get hurt, but you do. It sounds like you're serious about having the guys play a little bit and get some run in those 3 games.
Yeah, we need to get some. Really the units got to gel. We got to get them in there in live bullets. We got to make sure we can tackle. We got to make sure we can finish blocks and finish the runs the right way. Get our reads down and get our progressions down. So it's a big part for our whole football team. We want to see how we operate, and that's going to be a big part of our evaluation going forward.
Coach, is the goal to make the playoffs this season?
I don't put goals obviously our goal is to win the Super Bowl every single year. But in terms of where we are right now, we're just taking one day at a time. And really what we try to do is do the ordinary, extraordinary day in and day out. And that's what we're trying to do here at practice every single day.
How do you convey that to your team, Coach? Because look, there's always outside noise. You could look at projections. Oh, they only project us to have 4 wins or 6 wins. Like what? How do you deal with that as a head coach when you talk to your team?
I would just say stay in the process. Really, it's about anything. As a performer, it doesn't matter if you're performing in any sport. You have to put yourself through the stress and strain of practice first before you step on the stage, and that's what we're focusing on right now. And then the stage or the game or whatever the sport may be becomes easier because you have a process to it, and you've already put yourself through the stress and the strain of practice. And that was my main message to him today. And again, we've only got 2 practices under our belt, and we got a lot of work to do, and we're excited about that work coming forward.
Bears head coach Matt Eberflus joining us. Carmen and Yurko on ESPN 1000. Jeff Meller's in for Yurk today. Internally, do you guys have a pretty good idea about a starting 5? And forget about injuries, I guess, right now, but just do you have a pretty good idea about a starting 5 across your offensive line?
We're just letting that play out. We want to put the guys in position and let the cream rise to the top. And those 5 guys will reveal themselves to us. Certainly, do we like a few guys right now? Yeah, we like several guys right now, but we're not. We really don't know that answer, and we're working every day to figure out what the best combination is of those guys are. So you'll see during the course of training camp, we'll slide guys in, slide guys out. We're doing that more really just to find the first 5, number one, but also to find some position flex. Who's going to be our swing tackle? Who's going to be our second center? Who's going to be the other guy that can slide inside and play guard for us either side? So it's an important evaluation. As we know, the offensive line is a critical piece to a winning football team.
Coach, I saw on the Bears Instagram page the other day, I think it was Luke Patrick come into an offensive meeting, and Luke Getzi asked for the belly button, and he gave you guys the belly button. And then I saw you on video kind of snicker. But I wonder, you mentioned performers there in that last answer. I'm curious, is it weird to be the head coach of a football team, but also have all these cameras around you guys producing content? Is that something that you never really thought about when you eventually did land this job?
Well, and prior stops, we've had the cameras around quite a bit, and that's okay. And that's part of it. You want your fans to be able to have access to your football team. They love the Chicago Bears, and we want them to have some access to see us operate. And I don't see a problem with that. And that's all part of it. This is a fan-based game. It's a players' game, and we got to continue to do that as long as it's not infringing on a personal conversation or something you might have with a player or another staff member. I see no problem with it.
You guys when you were in Indy last year, you guys were the midseason Hard Knocks, right? I mean, so you probably are a little bit accustomed to dealing with the cameras being in your face.
Yep. Yeah, it was. I thought it was good. I really did. I think when you have a close football team, and we're starting to gel with that right now, and guys that respect each other and guys that really work hard. If you have those two things, you want to put those things on display, and that's what we're building here with the Chicago Bears.
You're a defensive coach. What is it like when you're getting into this job, you're digging in the late winter, early spring, and the general manager approaches you and says, "Coach, we got to talk about something. I think we're going to trade Khalil Mack." I mean, we all know how good Khalil Mack is. It also probably makes a lot of sense for you guys as a football team, considering where you are right now. But as a defensive coach, what is that conversation like?
When you look at it and everything's presented to you, you look at a long view, and you say, well, what's best for the Chicago Bears at that time? And certainly Khalil's a great player and has been a great player in the league for a long time, but it made sense for us. And we decided as ownership, GM, and head football coaches, that was the best move going forward for the Chicago Bears. And we were all in on it. And we're excited where that's going. It's going to really help us in the future for sure.
You've been coaching this league for a long time, but have you thought about September 11th being on that sideline? You guys open at home, being the head coach now. Like, have you thought about whether it's some anxiousness, some butterflies, just the feelings that you might have come September 11th?
Yeah, just really focusing on the preparation for that day, and that's one day at a time, and we can't waste a day. If that's preparation for the game, in-game management, working with the offense and defensive coordinator, that's a day-to-day operation that we do, and we are certainly discussing all those things every single day to prepare for that first game.
Coach, how much oversight do you envision having on the offense? You obviously are a defensive coach, and we've seen some head coaches, they're a little more hands-off with their offenses when they cut their teeth on the defensive side of the ball. But to my point about the Bears Instagram, you're in the meetings the other day. So how much oversight and communication are you going to be having with Luke Getsy, your OC?
Yeah, it's going to be obviously, side-by-side communication, for what the game plan looks like during the game week. What does that look like? But it's always a game plan set up beforehand, but then you have to have in-game tactics. And I don't care if it's offensive play caller, defensive play caller, you have to adjust and move and flex during the course of a game based on what you're seeing. And that's based on the information you're getting from not only me as a head football coach from my perspective, but also from the assistants that are up in the box. And that's so important to have in-game tactics, man. You got to be able to change and adjust, and you got to win the football game. So we're excited to get that done.
But you believe in a pretty fair amount of autonomy for your offensive guys and your coordinators and things like that?
Oh, yeah, I believe in that. I've worked with so many good coaches, from Coach Pinkel, to Frank Reich, all those guys, that I've worked with, always given me a full leeway to run my unit. And that's exactly what I'm going to do with Alan, Richard, and Luke. And certainly I'm going to be in there to, give them advice and help them in any way that I can. And certainly the style of play is going to be the right way, because that's what we're going to do as the Chicago Bears.
What do you, first two picks were defensive guys. What do you like about Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker so far?
Yeah, I would just say first thing, I love the men. They come from great families, strong background, and that's the first thing you look at. And those guys are quality human beings, number one. So they make great teammates. They're hard workers. You can trust them, and man, they're smart. And we're excited to have both those guys in our secondary. And really, the ball hawking ability from both those guys has been outstanding, and that's one of the traits we look for when we evaluate those defensive players.
You mentioned the ball hawking ability. You had one of the best a few years back in Eddie Jackson, currently on this roster, but the last couple of these seasons, he has not had an interception. Do you think he can get back to being that type of ball hawk in this defense?
Yeah, I sure do. I think that, that's a contagious thing, and it's something that you are on top of every single day, and we're fanatical about that. He's really buying into that, and we're excited about to see where he's going to go this year for sure.
It's a football-starved and crazed town, Coach. You know that. This whole country is obsessed with football. We love to talk about quarterbacks, and we did ask you a little bit about Justin Fields. I'd ask you as we say goodbye, what's one thing, maybe in layman's terms, or just something that fans can look for to see during the season as you guys go on, where we could all say, oh, yeah, Justin Fields is starting to get it? How do you know a quarterback starts to get it?
You'll just see the command and the poise in the execution. That's what you'll see, and you'll see it down after down. That's what we're looking for.
All right, love it. By the way, we've heard you're quite the golfer. I can't imagine you have time to golf now that training camp has started, though. So does the game get rusty in the winter?
No, I tell you what, this new job, man, my golf game slipped a little bit. I was a little bit busy.
It's got to.
Yeah,
you got to get a simulator or something in the office, Coach.
No, I never mix football. I always rack my clubs up, man. I never touch training camp starts. I won't even look at them.
I love the commitment. That's pretty great. Yeah. That's outstanding.
I want the head coach of my football team to be a great coach in the golf game.
I love
That's
it.
Secondary.
Don't even look at him. I love that commitment. Coach, we wish you all the best, and we appreciate the time today. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
There's Matt Eberflus, the head coach of the Bears.